It's my distinct pleasure to welcome Pamela West back onto Marijuana Channel 1. Pamela, I feel like there's no introductions, although we're going to do those. I mean, you kind of started Marijuana Channel 1 with me, 8 years ago, 7 years ago.
That's so wild. It's been that long for one. And then when I look back at our old work every once in a while, it's so nice that we have those memories recorded because that was special times.
They really were. And it's so fun because we're going to talk about what's going on in 2021. You have a fascinating background and you have been on the cannabis scene since the very beginning, since I got onto the scene. So I met you. You were one of the first people that I met in Washington State. I met you at a Christmas party probably 8 or 9 years ago. And you were dancing wildly at the Women of Weed Christmas gathering. And I was like, wow. Who is that powerhouse? And we were just starting the MJBA, and you became an active member and have been a medical patient, a hemp advocate, a raw cannabis advocate, chef, a podcasting personality, a fashionista. Your current passions these days are hemp food and hemp fashion. You do the Butterfly Sessions podcast. You're living in British Columbia. You're a hash maker in the legal cannabis scene up in Canada. Welcome. You have much to talk about.
Oh, thank you for having me. I'm very excited to see you. I've missed you. And that's why I'm like, we need to chat. There's a lot to catch up on. And what better way to do it than on the MJNews network?
Yeah, fantastic. Right. Yeah, it's Old Home Week. So just jump into it. First of all, how did you become a hash maker in Canada? And tell me what that looks like on a day-to-day basis.
Okay, so first of all, I'm Canadian, although I was living in Washington for a very long time. And I'd just like to say that you gave me my first professional job in the cannabis industry. So thank you.
I love it. See?
It's still on my resume today. It's wonderful. And so today I'm working for a organic cannabis farm called Earthwolf Farms. They're in Lillooet, BC. And their production facility where they're making live bubble hash is in Port Coquitlam. So I'm in Port Coquitlam. I'm part of their processing technician team. I'm doing largely their packaging. So I'm in charge of their packaging department, but then I'm also pressing their live rosin with them and doing different R&D projects. So it's been really fun.
So you've learned everything about making hash. What was your experience up to this point? Did you have a background in, because I know you as all those things I just enumerated, but hash maker wasn't first and foremost at the top of your CV.
No, so for the past, I don't know, 4 or 5 years, I've been working in the cannabis industry doing all the ugly jobs, like as a trimmer, working in farms doing harvest.
You were a bud tender as well, right?
Yeah, I've spent some time as a bud tender, which is a horrible job. Just kidding, it's not that bad. But I've dipped my finger into all sorts of things and tried to be like, I just want to see what everything is about and where I'm going to fit in. And because it's kind of a tough industry, to say the least. So finding myself, I made hash a little bit with Jerry Whiting for a summer at
CNE LeBlanc.
Right. But we were down in Seattle. So I've been making hash for a little bit, just different kinds of hash and just sort of being really educated on all sorts of concentrates. I also have somebody in my life named Michael West, and he is a concentrate. I don't know what to call him.
Expert,
Expert
right?
is
I mean,
probably the
he's an
best,
industry
word.
expert on all
Yep,
things distillate, concentrates, and hemp as well.
absolutely.
Mike
Yeah,
West,
and
one of our
just
dear
industry as
friends.
well.
Mhm.
Um, I invited him to make a peak appearance, so he might. We'll see.
Good. Well, we'll look forward to that. Hopefully, he will. We love Mike. So,
So my day to day right now is working in this pot factory, which actually is underneath like a few companies. A few companies are working together in this pot factory, if you will, and we're the ones that are making this like amazing bubble hash and live rosin, and it's all organic. And at this point, we've made it into 4 provinces and the Yukon, and so like things have really been rolling this year. As far like last year, we had just started making bubble hash. We hadn't even gotten into market. So
so tell me about that process because you're working in Canada. I mean, I'm fascinated about being an entrepreneur in the Canadian legal system. Everything goes through Health Canada. So tell me how does that work? How do you get certified? Tell me about the testing and then packaging. You mentioned as one of your responsibilities. Uh, the Canadian market is constrained. They don't have the opportunity to be quite as branded or as
no,
differentiated in their packaging.
no, it's a tough market, and you can't see the product, you can't smell the product. And the whole idea of getting into the market is really challenging as well, because you have to send your product, what it's going to look like, all the specs on it for submission to the different provincial boards or provincial LCBs, basically. And so if they accept your product, they're going to make an order. But a lot of these provinces, once you make your order, you have so much time to fill it. And once you fill it, it needs to sell out in a certain time. Otherwise, they're going to send it back to you. And you have to figure out what to do with it. And you also
So
have to like,
you ship the lot to the government distribution center and then Health Canada sends it out. So you have to understand and predict that market. Is that how that works?
sort of Health Canada oversees it all. The, let's say, Liquor and Cannabis Board of each province oversees how it's done, and each province does it a little bit different. So British Columbia and Ontario right now are those systems that I told you about, but then Alberta is a little bit different as well, and they're also going through transition as far as doing direct to retail sales. So
Because they are opening up and that's why I was asking.
yeah.
So do you as a manufacturer, do you need to get licensed in each of the provinces separately? And do you manufacture in one location and then ship to multi-points, or do you have to have separate manufacturing in each of the provinces?
Nope. We're shipping from one manufacturing facility to all of those places. I wanted to mention too that Saskatchewan and Manitoba allow direct to, oh no, not Manitoba. Manitoba is a little bit different. Saskatchewan is direct to retailer. Manitoba is, they put it on listing and you directly ship it to the retailer instead of, so it's they're all different.
So in those retail though, they're still using this, it's the same product, same packaging, and this, and essentially the same price, same requirements. So there's no differentiation between those channels.
Pretty much. But then getting into, we just recently got into Shelter Market, which is a access point for patients, and which is really exciting. I'm so excited because that's one of my LPs that I'm signed up for as a medical patient. So I'll have access to my own medicine that I'm making, which is awesome. One is they are a kind of a collective or a house brand of houses, house of brands for a bunch of different little smaller farms in Canada. And they're out of Saskatchewan. And so you end up basically shipping everything to Saskatchewan.
Kind of a co-op. And
yeah,
then
they'll excise it for you, and then they send it to patients directly in small packages.
Yeah.
So
that's a kind of rural agricultural co-op.
Kind of, and they've been able to really bring together
model.
some really great brands and also like elevate some great brands and actually get them to market because like I said, it's not always easy to get accepted into the provinces and to get your product into market. So we've had that challenge a few times this year of, we sell most of the product, but it's not selling at the end or it's like slowed way down. So they send it back to us. And we now have to remove all of the packaging because it's all been excise stamped. We have to take those off and account for them. And it's a real mess as far as that kind of thing. And so, like, one of the companies that is in my weed factory, they do edibles. And they've recently had a bunch of things returned as well. And so it's just like this glut of garbage essentially that can't really be redone. So yeah,
So then
there's
what
some
do you,
challenges.
what do you do? You have to destroy all that product.
You can repurpose the product, but now you also have to retest it and have all the brand new stats on it because it's now been opened and it's
So
now
you got, and
older.
the cost of doing that makes it kind of,
Is expensive, absolutely. And then you
not
also have to
that
pay to
viable.
repackage it and repurpose it.
That's
So,
what I'm
and
saying.
the
Yeah.
cost of labor is ridiculous.
So, so all is not milk and honey in the Canadian
No.
system.
All that being said, I'm working for a really awesome company that's like a bunch of consumers. Like we all use, we have patients and scientists, and everybody uses. And so everybody has like a really love for the plant and passion for it and understanding of it, which is really, really nice to work with.
Can
It's
you tell us the name of
refreshing.
the company, or is that
Oh yes,
tops?
no, Earth Wolf Farms
Earth Wolf? Cool.
is their brand. Yeah.
Okay,
Um,
fantastic. Well,
mhm.
I love that. So hash making, and then on the side, you've also got the Pamela West entrepreneur media
So yeah,
hemp
on the
hemp
side,
vision.
I
So tell me
know like
about
I do
that.
have this hemp vision because I'm in love with hemp food and hemp fashion. And I that is if I've become an advocate of anything, it's of that because I think it's a really big deal. We all wear clothes and we all eat food, and a lot of our clothes and our food are toxic to the planet. So, and to us. So how can we change that? Hemp. And so I'm like, as you know, I like love to cook and create my own recipes. And
Yeah,
a lot of my
and you're good
recipes,
at it, by the
I'm
way.
good at it. And a lot of my recipes are not shelf stable, but I've recently started creating one that is shelf stable. And
Mm.
I might be able to get it to market. So I'm really trying to get this little product to market, but also I'm trying to do it sustainably and with this whole vision of hemp. And I don't know if I'm trying really hard to find hemp packaging, but I don't think it's going to happen.
Yeah, hemp packaging is it's a component. You're seeing hemp and bamboo and recycled papers and
Mhm.
all kinds of interesting packaging. So it's moving. It's not 100% hemp, but hemp fashions, on the other hand, are red hot and have gone mainstream. Everyone from Levi Strauss to Patagonia is selling everything from shoes to jackets to coats to jeans. And hemp is no longer the old burlap sack. There's some pretty cool fashions. You've been a fashionista. You were part of the MJBA fashion show all those years ago, if I remember, wearing your
It's the best.
just make your hemp t-shirts. Um, so and in fact, what's interesting is that cannabis is larger than the cotton market, right? In the U.S., we're bigger than cotton. We're not growing. Tell me about
Nobody's
the
growing
hemp.
for fiber, really. I
Yeah,
mean,
tell
some
me.
people are starting to, is from what I'm hearing, like down in Texas and whatnot, down in the South, they're starting to put an emphasis on fiber, but that's like
Because the
just starting.
CBD, the cannabinoid market is
Right.
has
CBD
fallen
is
off.
so amazing. Hemp
Yeah,
is so amazing for CBD. But then all these other stuff. So definitely it's getting better, but it also is where's they going to process? There's no processing facilities
right.
for hemp. So
So
actually
tell me,
turning in.
what do you see that as someone who has aspirations to do hemp fashions? How are you, where do you think the solution is? Is there an opportunity for folks to build hemp mills and
Endless
textile?
opportunity, absolutely, because that doesn't really exist right now, and or it exists really small, and when it where it does exist is like in Europe and China. So definitely it's something that is needed here as far as like decorticating and turning the actual like hemp into your textiles, and turning them into different blends that are going to also be healthy for the environment, and processes that are not toxic, as a lot of fashion is, right? um Oh, I did want to say last year in 2021, at the beginning of the year, Hoodlam, which is a hemp fashion company, they went bankrupt. And it was like one of the biggest losses because they make the best coats and they're just amazing out of hemp and organic cotton. And like this is a Hoodlam sweater that I have, organic cotton and recycled hemp. And then so they've reemerged as Hood Lab. I just saw last week, which I was really excited about. So I'm curious to see what they come up with that's different and new. So, and I also like, I've started at the beginning of this hemp fashion project of mine was to be like, I want to have my entire wardrobe be hemp and only wear hemp. Is that even
You've
possible?
been saying that for years.
I know, and it's taken a lot of years. So now my wardrobe is at the point where pretty much all of my outfits have some kind of hemp in it. And I haven't gotten rid of all my other clothes because that would be wasteful. And but a lot of my clothes are hemp now, and that's really exciting. And so I've kind of softened my approach as to like when I bring in new stuff, I definitely want, if it's brand new, it has to have hemp. But if it's not brand new, I'm reusing something old, and that's okay too.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Reuse, repurpose, recycle, and then use sustainable. Absolutely. So what does 2022 look like for you? Are you still doing your podcasting with Jerry? Where do we find you? Where do we find you
So, well, yeah,
if we
you're
want
going
to?
to want to keep up with me at Butterfly Sessions on Instagram and my blog, butterflysessions.com. I honestly have not been writing in it very much, but that's about to change a little bit. I'm going to start updating it more frequently with different things that are coming up, because I do have some stuff coming up. So I've been pretty quiet because I've been working on all this other stuff and working my butt off in the cannabis industry, but
And making a lot of hash.
making so much hash.
So we're coming up on Thanksgiving. What are you cook? I know you're because you're a fabulous cook, and one of the highlights of working with you was that you would treat and bring over just wonderful cookies and concoctions, and you kept me fed, which I will forever be in your debt. So for Thanksgiving, our annual holiday of gluttony and eating too much, um, how do I incorporate hemp into my feast?
First of all, stop calling it Thanksgiving and start calling it Danksgiving.
Thanksgiving, there you
Thanksgiving.
are.
Second of all, have something infused in your meal, gravy, something that you can pour on so you can adjust
So
the
tell
sugars.
me, what will you have? What like how do you know what how will you do your meal? Will you
Well,
do a meal?
first
Being
of all,
Canadian, it's
I'm
kind
in
of an
Canada. This is my second Thanksgiving of the year because we
mhm,
have the official Canadian Thanksgiving in October.
mhm.
Um, Although quite honestly, the mood around Thanksgiving isn't really like as exciting as it used to be because, all of the
Because of the travel,
like
and as you were just saying, when we were so are you going to be preparing a meal, and will
I
you
think I'm
make
gonna do like maybe an infused dessert or a nice meal, but
yeah,
nothing traditional, but definitely infused.
yeah,
And I also
yeah,
think I'm
well,
working that day. So I
oh
know
no,
I'm
oh
working
no.
that day. So maybe I'll also spread the love and take some cookies into work and make people
Yeah,
laugh.
it's interesting how the I work a lot in the retail, the cannabis retail marketplace, and it's interesting how Black Friday and this weekend preceding Thanksgiving is such a big sales thing, and that cannabis and the feasting and celebration of the autumnal abundance is interrelated, and that's cool. And then we're moving into the gift giving thing, so it's really been interesting. One of my focuses is on the mainstreaming of marijuana, the mainstreaming of cannabis into all these industries. And again, moving into the holidays, you're seeing a lot of that. We talked about CBD products are everywhere. what hemp fashions and hemp foods. It's kind of the first marijuana Christmas.
Well, also, I've started doing infused cookie platters. So like make 4 or 5 different kinds of cookies and put them on a platter and give that to somebody. And it's the nicest gift. They all can be different, like milligrams. This one's 5 milligrams, so you can eat a bunch of those, or this one's 20 milligrams. Be careful with those. Like
And how are you doing
really
that
nice
at home?
gift.
Do you're using a little magical butter machine, or how are you you're doing oil
Oh,
and then dropping it? How are you
mm.
dosing?
My favorite way to do it right now is simply using rosin, live rosin. It's really easy to cook with. You put it right in your oil. It's partially decarboxylized. And like the traditional way of cooking with hash is just adding it to your food and letting it
Kind of
simmer with your
melts
food and cook with your
right
food.
in.
And that's right. It activates as you cook. So there's so many different ways to cook. Yep. And it's fairly easy to add to most oils. Um, but I think people overlook the idea of walking into a store and buying a gram of really nice concentrate and using that for cooking. Like it's cheaper than buying an ounce of weed usually. And you can dose your cookies exactly to the milligram. Also, because I'm a cannabis patient, I like to delve into like throwing in raw um like undecarboxylated hash and whatnot, because I like THCA in my edibles. They add
Yeah.
an element of like therapeutic reason. So yeah,
Well,
that's
and
really
you've been an advocate of juicing cannabis and eating raw cannabis. It used to be that 10 milligrams was kind of what you would see in the commercial marketplaces, and then microdosing, you started seeing fives,
I mean,
especially in
honestly, I've
the
started
can, and then two and a
microdosing.
halves. Yeah, and then two and a
As a
halves.
as a patient, I always on the other end of the spectrum used to be way more about larger doses and whatnot, and having the be able to feel the effects. But now I've started microdosing and noticed that I honestly don't need as much as I initially thought I did.
Right.
So, or used to.
And
Maybe my body's.
you do it on a consistent basis. It's
Mhm.
like the French drinking wine all day. They never get drunk. They just are,
They just are.
they just are able to, speak more fluently. Fluent, see how that works. I have a question. I'm an old guy, so I think immediately when you say microdose, I think of psychedelics. And you're interested in psychedelics and tell me about the mushroom psilocybin scene in BC.
It's pretty interesting in Vancouver, especially. So, oh, that's funny. I just found a hemp seed in my slippers.
It's good luck.
I know.
That's good
So
luck.
I started microdosing a couple of years ago for my migraines. And once I moved into Vancouver, started seeing all these posters downtown of like, look at this website, we'll send it directly to you. And so like they passed a law last year saying that it's not illegal to grow and to distribute and all of that, because I don't have the verbiage right, but essentially it's not illegal. So now, just like medical cannabis was, there are little dispensaries popping up in Vancouver.
Yeah, and it's a lot easier to
cocoa.
grow psilocybin than it is to grow weed.
Yeah. So it's been a really interesting thing. Like you can walk into a little mushroom dispensary, talk to a registered nurse, and have to sign of like, I'm now a patient of yours, and then order, like take out as many mushrooms as they'll allow you to if you want.
And
so
what's the commercial scene? What do you pay for? What you're buying them by the gram? You're buying them by the ounce?
I'm kind of like, I'm going to sound really ignorant right now because I just don't really, I forget. I don't buy them that frequently.
I know, because I'm sure you've got other sources. I'm trying not to reference that, but do you know what
honestly,
they are?
I've been using these as sources. So it's not super expensive. Maybe like $35 for a mushroom, like a little bag. I can't believe I'm spacing on this so hard right now.
Which may be a couple of doses, depending on your tolerance.
No, you'll be like, oh no, they're selling them in grams. Okay, so like 3.5 grams or 7 grams.
So just like weed.
Similar. And then what I've been doing with them is I'll take some mushrooms and I'll put them in my blender and grind them up into a powder and then mix them into honey with
Mm.
infused honey, and then I can add that to anything, or I can eat it straight, and it's so nice.
You just have to label all. Anytime
Yeah,
you go to Pamela's house, you've got to label. You got to make sure you watch what you're
that's
ingesting,
right. Because I also
because
reuse containers, and so nothing is what it
you
originally was.
never understand really what you're getting. You buy the ticket, you take the ride. Fantastic. Well, what else I could talk to you forever and ever and
I
ever.
know.
What
Oh, I do
else?
know there are a few other things I have to tell you about.
Yeah.
And that is being a medical cannabis patient up here is like one part wonderful and also one part still is in progress. Like I have all of my cannabis able to just ship to me from, I can order it online, but I'm limited to one or two LPs or three or four, like however my prescription will spread into. I also like we still pay taxes on medicine up here, and even though you can sometimes have it covered under your work insurance or something like that, it's not considered, and it's considered medical by the government. They're still charging us for taxes, and that's ridiculous. Um, so I had to say that before I let you go, because
So when you choose the LPs, is so when you get a prescription, or tell me how that works.
yep. So there are numerous cannabis clinics or clinics, basically naturopathic doctors or like registered practitioner nurses
mhm.
who you basically have a meeting with like this, and
You can do it online, right?
all of it's online. So you can determine, they determine how much your prescription is going to be, and then they kind of send you off to their
Meaning
administrator.
how much you're allowed.
How many grams per day? So my first prescription from the nurse practitioner that I originally saw, she gave me 10 grams a day.
10
And
grams a day. God bless you, honey.
that's what I said. My
Three eighths a day. I think you can survive on that.
I was living.
Even at the butterfly sessions level.
But now my prescription is 4 grams a day, which is still adequate as far as like.
So that's an eighth, basically.
Yep. So that's appropriate for how much I'm using, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's really interesting, and it's definitely super regulated, and I really appreciate having access to clean medicine.
So, let's go through the process. So then you're allowed an allocation, and then do you go online to order, and it says these are the products available to you, and you select them?
Basically, so I pick my LPs as to who I want to purchase from, and every LP is going to have a different product lineup, right?
And how do you what are your choices up there? Is it like Curaleaf and
there's a few, like the one I mentioned, Shelter Market. There's also Shoppers Drug Mart, is a major pharmacy in Canada, and they have a whole cannabis department that you can order from, and they've curated probably like I don't know, maybe even 100 brands. So like,
within your provider, your licensed provider, you're going to be able to choose a variety of brands and product SKUs.
Yep.
And then you order and pay online, and it's delivered to you.
And they
deliver to you in a brown bag or a little
just
package.
A regular box. Yeah, right to my door.
It doesn't say weed. It's not special. It's so funny, right? So we treat cannabis in different markets differently. I was just back in Vegas for a few weeks and am reminded these early markets where you not only do you have child-proof packaging and labels and stickers and all kinds of stuff, but on your way out, then they put it in another child-proof locked Mylar bag, and it's like, I bought some pre-rolls. I mean, what the hell? What the heck, man? Why do I need all this packaging? I just, it's just a couple of cigarettes.
Totally. Well, and I can also buy weed from BC Cannabis stores, which is the government store, basically, and they've you get access basically to all the brands that they're currently
that's the adult
recreational market. That's right. Anybody can do that, and you still have to, I don't think you have to sign for it at your door, basically have somebody sign for it, but they'll send it directly to you. So that's,
as long as you're 18, is that it? It's like 18,
19 in most provinces.
19.
Yeah, 18.
And then is there a difference in price and quality between the adult use and the medical?
Sadly, okay, yes, thank you for bringing this up because the prices are not too different. You can sometimes get compassionate pricing as a patient for some companies, but no, you're still paying taxes, and you're also, the products are the same. So you don't have like high, if you needed 30 milligrams, something, whatever, it's not available. It's very interesting. But I have to say, it's still like, it's a great, as far as like the products coming out are getting better and the cost is coming down. Like nobody's paying too much for weed up here.
So how do you feel about 2022? We're going into next year. If I were to say, Pamela West, what is your prognosis in a hemp legal cannabis Canadian point of
I
view?
mean, I wish I could be super optimistic and say 2022 is going to be so great, but I want you to going to be real. It's going to be kind of like 2021. It's more of the same. Hopefully it gets a little bit better as far as like, I don't know. I'm cut off to the world. So
That's what I was going to say. Well, we can't, I would say come down and visit, but you're up
I'm
there in
That's
kind of
right.
isolation.
For me to come back into Canada, if I've gone down to the States, I have to take a test. Now they're removing that soon. So I'll feel more free to travel back and forth into the States. So that's coming up. I'm excited for that. But like we had major flooding. We're still having major flooding in lower mainland BC. And all of the major routes out of Vancouver have been destroyed
Because of the flooding,
because of the
because of
flooding.
the landslides. Yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
some of them aren't going to be done fixed for months, potentially up until next summer. So
That's
it's
right.
like, so they're like putting limits on gas right now to 30 liters in some places for fill up, and they're asking people not to like panic buy and not to hoard, and which to me is
That's
like
liters, not gallons, boys
that's
and
right,
girls. So,
that's right,
that's even less than it appears to be. We're
yeah.
not exactly sure the equivalent. It doesn't matter. It's just a smaller unit. It's not a gallon. That's all you
It's
need to
like a
know.
fourth of a gallon.
It's like a quart, only it's not really a quart. Uh,
Yeah. That's exactly right. So yeah, 2022 is going to be interesting, like more challenges, but I think it's going to be much better as far as being able to travel and see people, and the world seems to be opening up a little bit and less fearful. So that's exciting.
and for you personally, do you think you talked about your food product introduction? Do you think next year will we see you hit the market, or are you still going to be in
I
product
would,
development mode?
I have a fair amount of product development still go in working as far as like finding all the bits, but I'm really going to push for like, I want to say 420, but that's only 4 months away. But I think we're in like next year for sure. I think 2022 is the year I'll be able to release this food hemp product, which is really exciting.
Well, we
And
want to be part of it, as I
you will
said at
be
the
because
very beginning, because you
you're on.
started with us, and I want to get you back on MJ News Network. We've got to have these conversations more regularly, and you're invited to have a forum, take a column on the MJNewsNetwork.com or Marijuana Channel 1 or our
Thank you.
newsletters or whatever you want to do. We love you and love what you're doing, and want to be supportive.
I love you, and thank you for that. That's wonderful. And I definitely have you on my list of my first R&D. So you're going to get a package of what I'm making.
Yay! Because as I said, I am really just a pushover for free food. So
Yeah,
absolutely. But you're a wonderful cook. You really are.
endearing. Well, thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah, thank
fantastic.
you. I really appreciate being here, and yeah, more and more is good. We need more of this.
All right, last word. Take them home. What do you want the folks at home to know before their Thanksgiving
Oh,
boof begins?
see if you can put some hemp in there. Add some hemp to your Thanksgiving, and just
Dang.
stop. Yeah, stop with the Thanksgiving. Let's get high.
So hemp hearts, and be careful, boys and girls, before you have that infused cookie. You never know exactly what's in it. So
It
start
could be
low,
40
go
milligrams.
slow.
You don't
Start
know.
low, go slow, and watch the Chiba chews. For sure. So, well, fantastic. Thank you again, Pamela West. Butterfly Sessions all over the internet, all over the cannabis scene, and near and dear to our hearts. Thank you for joining Marijuana Channel 1.
Thank you for seeing me. I'll see you soon.